stories live side, seeing the morning star rise.
Our stories show us Papua when cameras, newspapers, media, and governments refuse to give witness.
Our stories weave relationships when borderlines are drawn, severing bodies of our connection.
In our stories, we are not targets for practice, occupation, transmigration, genocide.
Our stories reclaim side, even from the narrow focus of a gun.
Because once upon a time, we were the stories chopped and chewed in the teeth of islands and the tongue of the sea.
Because once upon a time, we were held together by the tide and stars.
Because once upon a time, our connection to one another was strained through blood and land.
Today, we serve that memory as kava.
When I give you kava,
I give you story.
I give you blood.
I give you memory.
We remember there has always been blood in the kava bowl.
We bleed black and red.
We are connected, one soul while we watch.
We listen.
We tell.
We stand. In story. In solidarity. Papua Merdeka.
Lifelines, terrain, nor the black rapture of copper and steel closing in on itself. What does Highland smoke smell like? I reach for you, knowing this tight-lipped promise, this sworn silence, Evie melting into its own quiet. The bird of paradise has been split, half Papua, half Papua. Morning star dawn, you need a passport, and I witness your body. How do I resist the loving only of the pieces we share in common? 1887 bayonets pointed at our king. 1893 U.S. soldiers pointed at our queen. Acts of free choice. I push past the language of solidarity. More than 20,000 Maka Aina now pointing back. And cover you in my arms. So what if, where you've been brokered and broken, I offer my hands to keep the pit from growing? Will Indonesia stop holding hands over your mouth? Will the nightmares stop? If I kiss you where your velum sits, will I taste your wing space, perspire, our touching, a ceremony of resistance? This is a love letter to West Papua, to be in charge of loving itself.
reads to Kaikanali'i a bedtime story.
Twinkle, twinkle, small moon, shining down on our canoe, up above the sea so high, like a candle in the sky.
Count how many Papuan children have been extracted to Islamic boarding schools in Java and Jakarta.
When the ocean waves are black, when we feel like turning back, Hoku shines its little light, guiding us all through the night.
Count Papuan children crossing borders only to become forgotten refugees.
Waves may fall and rise up high, keep your eyes upon the sky. Hoku will lead us free, shining down her steady beam.
Count how many hashtags will it take to trend bleeding Black Island bodies, strip mined by bullets, crushed into slurry by military boots, pumped through pipelines across poisoned rivers and treeless lands, shipped overseas, enslaved by our technology.
Thunder clouds may push and shove, rain may fall from up above. Never fear, our star is strong, guiding us the whole night long.
Papuan cousins, we're so sorry we didn't see you. But we see you now, and hope one day we'll be able to talk story, chew betel nut, color the soil with our spit, and watch our children paint their faces red and play in the quiet shelter of our sacred mountains.
Paddle one and paddle two, following our grizzled feet, like ancestors did before. We will make it to the shore.
Papuan cousins, we're so sorry we didn't see you, but we see you now, bravely raising your flag so the whole world can witness the 5-point star on the horizon, and we promise to rise with you and stand until morning finally comes to heal our open wounds.
Twinkle, twinkle, small moon, shining down on our canoe, up above the sea so high, like a candle in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, small moon, shining down on our canoe.
There's been times when I thought that I couldn't go on, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but I think the change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
In 2013, the American mining company Freeport-McMoRan made $4,346,000,000 from the Grasberg mine in West Papua, which produced 885 million pounds of copper and 1.1 million ounces of gold for the 299 million computers, 179 million tablets, and 284 million smartphones that we bought that year.
When I leave my house, I put the morning star to my back.
I search for statistics in her struggling rise.
Spying bent, I mumble my ridge there above, leading down to earth in Venus's light.
A 50-year occupation.
At Kahikina arrives a new dawn,
An American compromise.
but I cast my eyes to the west,
West Papua, we make songs with your gold on our fingers.
towards Pomohana, the entrance to death and completion.
Counting 100,000, 200,000.
Uloa comes from the east,
300,000.
but its eyes too look to the west,
400,000.
where the sun enters the sea,
500,000 dying.
and the blue that connects us.
West Papua, we see you in the setting sun.
The light gives way to gold, to black, the death of light, that is life.
While we turn to cell phones, tablets, computers, and televisions to cast our eyes in a copper hue.
In the dark of awe, I cast my eyes to the west.
We cast our eyes across mountains, falling to rivers filled with tailings and blood.
And see another morning star.
Tapping out poems across keyboards, my hump spine arched to tethered lens typing through 12 million pounds of copper, 1.5 million pounds of gold.
Another Hokuloa, another Hokualii, another Hulehu, casting light on backs bent to the ground, black backs humped,
Beneath $100 billion US.
like green hills outlined in light.
We are blind.
But the morning star rises again,
While we measure for measure, balance the value and the cost of human life.
still obstructed by black of night,
Justify price with convenience.
obstructed by black in the mind,
And $1.50 and a death every hour.
obstructed by black in the ledger,
Drawing out cartographic tracks of our progress.
obstructed by black on the map,
Constructed by the toll of our lives.
obstructed by they are black and their lives are cheap.
Constructed by a history in dust, in clay, in hands molding to teach us progress gorgeous itself sick. We must ravish others to husk and call ourselves human, them monsters.
Gashed and wounded with malachite welts, bright sores, bones extracted from their bodies at $1,312 an ounce. Their wails
Are not ours. We remain deaf to those drum muzzles beating.
rhythmic with loss and rushing circles of defiance.
And half a century of U.S.-sanctioned silence.
During the 50-year occupation of West Papua, roughly 500,000 Papuans have died at the hands of the military, backed by the Indonesian government, the United Nations, and Freeport McMoran and Wilson Corporation.
That's 500,000 dead in 50 years.
That's 10,000 deaths per year.
That's 27.39 deaths per day.
That's 1.14 deaths per hour. Away! 9% of a person died while you listen to this poem. What is the price of Papuan life?